talk about your move into screen, because you were already a very established and very successful playwright in the mid-2010s when you decided, well, maybe you had, it sounds like you had that idea in your mind from way back when, but you began to really make those sort of tangible inroads into writing for television during that time. And I was going to ask a question which now is a bit redundant, because I was curious about the name of your theatre company, which is RealTV. Were you always interested in, I guess, the blurred boundaries between theatre and screen? Or are you always quite clear in your mind about what is theatre and what is television, for example?
I'm definitely clear in my mind about what is theatre and what is television. And I think they're very different mediums and have very different tones and forms. But for theatre, particularly because I created so much work for young people, and some of this work would tour into tiny little regional schools in little classrooms on a hot, sweaty, Thursday afternoon, or a huge gymnasium, and the poor actors would have to overcome all of those constraints to keep a young audience captivated. And so looking back, it was such good training ground for writing compelling, fast-moving, riveting stories. There was, you couldn't drop the ball. Like, the actors couldn't drop the ball, the script couldn't drop the ball. And I guess one of the strategies I used was applying kind of genres, familiar genres, to theatre. And it's, it kind of fascinates me that we are so obsessed with crime narratives on our televisions, and yet we're not so much in theatre. And, I have all sorts of theories about why we're obsessed with crime. But I was really interested in finding out whether crime worked in a theatrical context. And a number of my plays explored that idea.
Yeah. And I think I've read that were you interested in, I guess, using genre as a way in to kind of explore those more political ideas we talked about before?
Yes.
Yeah, to kind of make the medicine go down almost, or make it more palatable?
Absolutely.
Or? Right.
Like Letitia and I had always seen ourselves as political theatre makers, but, we thought that we were pretty cool and exciting as well. When people hear political theatre, they often sort of doze off.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make it as exciting and compelling and as, edge of the seat as we could possibly, And so The Dark Room was a play that we produced downstairs at Belvoir, and, in the tiny little theatre. And really, we wanted it to be a thrilling, kind of terrifying experience. It's a ghost story, essentially, a ghost crime story.
So it's set in a hotel room, but in 3 different temporalities?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it felt, for the audience, for the tiny audience, very immersive, and we used all the stage tricks that we could to make it really, I guess, propulsive.
Yes, right. And I guess thinking about genre is audiences have expectations about certain tropes, or and so I guess partly then if you can kind of use that to sort of subvert those tropes sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it just brings in younger audiences as well. And there's an argument that theatre is a dying medium. I'm not sure if that's true, but in fact I don't think that's true. But I certainly want to see a diverse age group, diversity in my audience, and that was part of the strategy.